daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. I am your host, Zach Finch. As always, joined by Greg Elliott, a really good friend of mine, a really fantastic co-host, just a wonderful person all round. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing alright, mate. Oh, what a lovely intro. Yeah, I'm doing good. Look, it's everyone's favourite day of the week. We've just shifted it till later in the week. So
What do you mean, mate? Transfer Thursday's been a staple of this channel since day one.
Mate, look, what are we going to do with this extra day's content come September? That's what we've got to work out.
We'll have to figure out. What we'll do is we'll do transfer rumours. maybe they'll be more realistic than the transfers that we have. Right. So, as always on our transfer days, I open up with a little word from either like our manager or the board, and we're getting to crunch time. Like, we're going to have one more of these, and then that's going to be it. And I'm hoping by that time the incoming is going to increase. But when asked during a press conference what Will still thought he needed on transfers, I still think we need a couple of things. I think a number 10 has been a question since the start, but we also need a bit more creativity from the outside with one or a few wingers that can have an opportunity and stick it at the back of the net, which is what we're working towards, but it takes a bit of time. And then when asked also about whether he'd use the loan market at all, still on if Southampton will look to use the loan market, yeah, 100%. I think whatever it takes to get stuff done and get the right people and the right players, will do what it needs. So that's kind of where we're at, right? Is that the manager has come out and said we need things. Everybody with a brain who knows that we still need things. There needs to be movement, and what we wanted to avoid was everything coming down to the last minute. But unfortunately, here we are, less than a week really till the window's closed, and we're going to talk about incomings, but we haven't had a lot of incomings, and a lot of people are upset and mad, and I understand why, but they are aware of it. Clearly, there is just some stuff going on, and it's obviously been the uncertainty of who's leaving.
Like we've said since the start, there's a lot of moving parts to take place. It's not as simple as, we want that player, let's buy that player. Like, there are other considerations to take into play. Like,
yeah,
so many ways.
I think this is the problem, is a lot of people are sort of just thinking, we just give them the money that they want. And it's like, it's not as simple as that, because like what happens, we didn't know who's going, who's coming. It seems like they were able to sort the whole Sugawara thing almost as it happened, right? That was bizarre. But yeah,
that's how it outwardly views. What is likely been the case is that on his international duty before pre-season, Sugawara was probably at that point told by his manager, you need to play in the top 5 leagues if you want to be in consideration. And it has taken until 4 days before the end of deadline to get that situation. Just because we don't see it outwardly doesn't mean that things aren't moving,
Look, part of what we'll talk about today is like the downfall of, like, say, the here we go guy, right? Fabrizio Romano. Like, the amount of things that he's got wrong so far this transfer window, becoming basically more of an influencer than actual journalist. And that's no disrespect. I mean, it sounds disrespectful, but it's like things sometimes happen now without people being told, because when you tell other people, it complicates things. Sometimes agents put stuff in the media to try and force a move. I genuinely feel like that's had the Spurzian situation, and I think that is all I will say on it. My notes for today on that are non-existent, because I don't think there's any point talking about it anymore, because it doesn't look like it's happening. There's been no real updates. The updates are one day he's coming, the next day he's not, then he's coming again, then he's not. I'm just at a point where discussing it is a waste of everyone's time, including mine. Don't know if you feel the same, Greg.
100%, yeah.
Good. Right. So, as always, Greg, I'll let you dealer's choice. What would you prefer to talk about first, incomings or outgoings?
We always start with outgoings to finish on the incomings.
Perfect. So we've split it into two sections. We've got confirmed outgoings and rumored outgoings. So you got a sub choice today, Greg. Would you start with the confirmed or start with the rumored?
Start with the easy on the track, out in the public ones.
Perfect. So who has gone, Greg? Today, as of time of recording, 27th of August, Armel Bella-Kotchap has now finally made a move out of the club to Verona, which was a surprise late move, according to Alfredo Padula. And this is where I was talking about how the Fabrizio Romano stuff kind of gets wrong sometimes, is that there were reports that he was supposed to sign for Nantes on loan like 2 days ago. There are also reports that this was very last minute late hijacking. However, he's flown out to Italy, and the loan fee, according to D. Transferius. That's not how you say that in Italian, is it? D-transfers in Italian. It will include a 500k loan fee, euros that is, and a 7 million euro option to buy. So he might finally get his move out of the club. I hope he has a nice season.
We made £500,000 sending him out on loan, which is something we've been trying to do for 2 years now, realistically.
Yeah, it's as I said to you before. Like, I feel bad. I feel like he needs to restart his career. It's not going to restart here. Maybe this will do good for him, especially considering originally there was just sort of let's try and go back to Germany, and then obviously France, and now confirmed Italy. So again, all of the sources got it wrong there, unless again it was literally a last minute hijacking. So who knows? But that's Armel Bella-Kotchap. Now, the big one, which we've alluded to, we've talked about a lot, and it's sad to see an academy prospect go. And I think a lot of people are, I guess, mourning that more than anything else. But unfortunately, the reality is we are not a top six club. We are not a club with the spending power, or I guess the European competitions, or this, that, the other. And whether or not people think about that of Everton, I know they don't. A lot of people are surprised Everton are still in the Premier League, especially after the last couple of seasons. But they are in the Premier League, and that has been more of a pull. So Tyler Dibbling has completed a permanent transfer to Everton for an undisclosed fee. So, Greg, should we talk about the fee?
We should 100% talk about the fee. I've heard numbers floated around with all sorts of different percentages and add-ons.
45, 42, 35, 5, 30, yeah, 35 plus 2. So Paul Joyce at the Times has said that apparently we will receive 35 million plus £5 million of add-ons for Tyler Dibbling. And that is...
plus a sell-on fee, right?
Yeah, that's easy add-ons as well, supposedly.
Not 20% sell-on fee.
Correct. The Athletic have been told it's not as high as the 20% figure reported for his sell-on fee. Now, I'm relatively sure that the person who originally reported the 20% sell-on fee was somebody that worked at the Athletics. Again, it's a bit here and there, right? And then there's also reports that it's 42 million and people are just happy it's not got the 20% sell-on fee. Ultimately, as it's undisclosed, we're not really going to know. And lots of people are really mad about it because it's like, oh, we backed down from the 50, we backed down from the 100. The 100 was never going to happen. The 100 was to get people to go away last January, right? Sorry, this January. 50 would have been more realistic, but again, negotiation. We didn't need to sell. Something has happened, which is why they've managed to get to a point where we have gone, that is a good valuation. The idea that us as a bunch of fans are like, well, actually, I think it's stupid because we didn't get 41 million, that's bad negotiating, is like, we're not in the room where that happens.
For me, this deal is a win-win-win. It's a huge amount of money for a raw talent, an 18-year-old who, with lots of potential, but it's a win for the club. It's pure profit for us. It's a win for Everton. They got a very good player, and honestly, it's probably a win for Tyler Dibbling, who now gets to go and learn his trade from arguably one of the best English wingers in a long time, in Jack Grealish. I don't think that's controversial to say. I think Jack Grealish is a fantastic player.
I mean, he's proved it so far. His one appearance for Everton, assisting twice, right? Like,
yeah, like it just feels like a win all round. I
Yeah,
don't have a
it would
bad
have
word
been
to
lovely
say
to
about the
keep
offer.
him.
Yeah, I think it's a
But
good price.
it's
Yeah,
simple as that, mate, isn't it? Like it would have been lovely to keep him, but it's just the reality of this situation is it's not going to happen. And you know, we've talked about before, like, yeah, we don't have to sell, but like there comes to a point where if it is worthwhile and amicable for all parties involved, then happy days. People talking about how well he left Chelsea and came back, and I think I even did last season, right? But also, like, it's not like you grow up, right? If when I was like 15, 16, I would have wanted to move away from home, but then 2, 3 years later, I did.
but
So
also there's a difference between moving from a Saints academy team to a Chelsea academy team, and moving from a Saints first team to a big multi-million-pound deal to Everton. Like it's different completely, and
I think we'll be fine. That's the other thing is that like it's not going to make or break our season, and I think that's what you need to
I
try
think
and.
it's a really shrewd deal. I think it's a lot of money for an 18-year-old for an academy product as well. It just feels like a good deal all round.
But like again, I can understand why people are upset about it. I don't personally get it. Kind of, if we'd have been nice to have kept him, sure. It's not the reality of the situation that he's gone. So, alas, wishing him well. So, another one that I was a bit surprised by, Yukari Sugawara, or you could. Yeah, basically, you were worried that, as we talked about the other day, that it was going to be Fernandez. That I said to you, I reckon it's Sugawara, just because of just the nature of how, like, who our like big strong international player is, and obviously because he's been told he needs to move leagues, he has gone to Werder Bremen on loan with an option to buy. So according to Bild, a German news outlet, they have an option to buy set at €6 million, which currently is about 5.1 million, which means we'd essentially be selling him for how much we bought him for.
Yeah, that's the bit that surprises me, to be honest. But
What the option to buy? I
yeah,
guess it depends, right? But the thing is if we get promoted and he wants to come back, I'm sure he can refuse, right? I don't know how that's built, but if he wants to come, I just think of Toby Alderweireld, to be honest. Whenever I think of any deal like that, if we don't get promoted, he's going to end up in the same position where he needs to be playing in the top 5 leagues. So unless Werder Bremen get demoted, there's a high chance that he'll end up staying unless we get promoted. Which, again, it really depends. Like so far, Royslav seems to have stepped into his shoes beautifully. It would have been nice to see him succeed a bit more. A lot of the press coverage. The only reason that I disagree with you, Greg, that it's been going on for a long time is that the amount of press coverage they did with him, the amount of media they did with him before the start of the season, the interviews with him about how he really wants to help the team this season. I think that this has been a development over the last couple of weeks, probably in the build up to the next international break, where basically, this national manager's done the rounds and been like, right, so we've decided XYZ, and you've got a couple of weeks before the transfer window closes to move if you think that's the case. So
yeah,
again, like it will be what it will be. We will move on. Rorosev is good. Just got to hope that Rorosev doesn't get injured, because again, like Bree's currently out, and Fraser can step into that weird wing back role, but that is reliant on us playing a back five / back
yeah.
three
I
with
mean,
wing
look,
backs.
it's going to be interesting, and maybe that is still a position where we need a bit of extra depth. But I guess we'll see how the rest of the window plays out.
Right, Joaquim Kaya has moved to Red Star in French League 2. They've just confirmed the signing on loan. That was after it was rumoured. I don't even think the club officially properly put a big announcement out anyway that I can see. I think it was on the Saints website, but I didn't see any like tweets or anything. I don't know if I just missed it in between all of the business of Stoke and Norwich and stuff. But yeah, that was. I'm not hugely surprised. He kind of tried to stake his place during pre-season, did all right, but with the amount of centre-backs we have, and I feel like they want to bring somebody, you don't, as we learned yesterday, we don't really want a back line of like three sort of inexperienced centre-backs, right? And I
Yeah,
don't think that him warming a bench is going to be good for the level of development of
no,
his
I agree.
season.
He's in a sort of tricky position, right, where he's probably a bit too good for the under-23s and not quite good enough to be in the like top selection mix of the first team. So
I will tell you what's strange, though, why we didn't just loan him back to our other club that are also, to my knowledge, in League Two. But hey ho, I guess is what it is. Maybe
The
it's
right offer
changed
came
scenery
in.
is good for
Is
them.
yeah.
So the other one, the other confirmed outgoing, Greg, is Juan. You know, everybody's favourite Brazilian striker, Juan. Remember Juan? you don't, because Gestapo have signed him from Saints FC on a permanent transfer for an undisclosed fee. So obviously he was one, I think, transferred in with Wellington and then went straight on loan to Gestapo and then stayed on loan at Gestapo and has transferred to Gestapo. I think that some people wanted him to be brought into the club because he was scoring goals for fun in Turkey. As we learned from Paul Onuachu, you can score for fun in Turkey. That doesn't necessarily translate to the Premier League. There must have been reasons as to why, probably that he settled in and was part of the furniture there, and that transfer's gone ahead. So that's the other confirmed. That's the last confirmed transfer I have, Greg. Don't know if you've got anything else.
Motley Club. No, that's it for confirmed for me.
Right. So it turns out this episode's going to be quite long. Should we have a little break and listen to a word from our partners at... Did we forget the first ad?
Yeah, we're still at the first
Yeah,
ad, mate.
no, you're right. It's me hosting. Of course we've not done the first ad. Here's a word from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Right, so we are back, and now we're on to rumoured outgoings, Greg. The window is not over. We still have a few rumours knocking around for who might be leaving. There might be people that leave that are not on this list that we don't know about. I left off Sammy Edozie because we've had absolutely no updates since last week. So until something happens, it's the same as it was last week.
Yeah.
However, apparently Wrexham have offered £7.5 million to Southampton for Will Smallbone. So I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not, but this is according to Reluctant Nico. So I think a lot of people would be like, as much as they love Will Smallbone, that is a lot of money for, you know, what will essentially be our backup midfielder, to my knowledge. So, yeah. But again, not really sure if an official bid's come in or not. That's just a rumour. According to Alfie House, we are happy to let him leave permanently before the deadline. I think that's an interesting emphasis there. I don't know if that's by design or not.
And it seems that he's probably not going to be like a huge part of the plans. So I guess
like
to him.
You can kind of already see that, and you know, and it's no disrespect to him. I just think that he's not, as we've talked about before. He suffers from being a man of many skills, but the master of none. And I think that they're very much trying to establish the squad that they want to go forward with. And he probably wants to play a bit more, which I can get. So, and then obviously it's a bit more concrete, where a Sky Sports news journalist, Anthony R. Joseph, has said that Will Smallbone is indeed of interest to Wrexham. So that's pretty much all the information so far. We'll have to wait to see if a proper bid comes in, but you know, the window closes soon. And as we've said, it doesn't look like he's going to be hugely part of the plans. So I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later.
Him on Disney Plus, mate. Bit of extra interest.
Ben Bert Diaz has options to leave Southampton and is currently analysing them. This is via...
I also saw this exact story, and my only note on it, mate, is who? What options?
I wouldn't be surprised if there are some other championship. I wonder. I can't work out if it's just a wrong team, wrong setup, wrong what. Because like he scored goals for Sheffield United, right? Then he went back to them and didn't, and then he's come back to us. And I think that without wanting to throw our players under the bus will be mean, because like again, it just doesn't get us anywhere, and it's all I'm doing is regurgitating other opinions. Watching him last night wasn't an enjoyable watch, right? Like you could tell why he's so low down the pecking order.
Yeah.
And if he ever wants to break back into his national squad, he needs to probably do something elsewhere. And I have a feeling that, you know, he was just, I think he's going to go down as one of those penitentiary signings, right? where we're like, yeah, thanks anyway, like Carello and a couple of others where well, I would even put him on bar with Orsic. I don't know if Orsic could have got better. We didn't see him play, so like, at least that's probably one of the benefits to him. Either way, potentially on his way out, and we'll see. If not, might have to see him a little bit more around the season. Maybe our opinions will change. They haven't in the last year. Right, Matty Fernandez, mate. West Ham have encountered frustration in their pursuit of Southampton's Matías Fernandez, who Saints have now said have an excellent chance of keeping after the sale of Tyler Dibbling to Everton, as according to Jacob Steinberg, a football reporter for The Guardian. However, according to The Athletic, he still does remain their first choice midfield target. I'm relatively sure in between all of that, they put in like another bid. I think it was like 32 million, which I think most people just considered an insult. And consider it to be an insult. If you're looking at the state of West Ham right now, and you know, even bless, like I saw Kyle Walker-Peters manage an assist last night. But if you're looking at the state of West Ham with like their captain having to be held back by players from arguing with somebody in the stands because of how much frustration there is, clearly boiling over in certain places, like, you know, that's a lot of speculation, but it's not working for them, and I could see him getting relegated. Do you want to go and fight that fight if you're Matías Fernandez? Really?
Just stay here where you're already loved and a hero, get us promoted, and stick out and go again next year.
It would be. It's one of those things where, like, the same reason that I felt sorry for James Bree when he joined us, right? Like, oh my God, a Premier League opportunity, £500,000, yeah, sure, I'll come. And then, like, next year in the Championship with Luton at that point being promoted. Like, admittedly, it would have worked out for them now. They're in League One, but still, it's giving those kind of vibes of, like, yeah, okay, I know that West Ham are a big club with big history, blah, blah, blah. But currently, you look at that squad and you look at the state of it and you go, do you really want to move there? Because you're loved here. We really, really like having you here. You're a big part of our plans. Again,
Yes.
for every 10 transfers to the Sports Republic you've got wrong, there is at least one that is good. And let us not forget that Matías Fernandez is one of them. So, Greg, we've got through outgoings. You happy?
Always, mate.
Right, so we'll use this as a opportunity to take the second break, or otherwise, let's face it, I'll forget, and have a word from our partners at Zencastr before we talk about who's coming into the club.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr.
And we are back. So, Greg, we'll start with the confirmed and moved on to the rumours, if you're happy with that.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Wonderful. So, George Long, experienced goalkeeper George Long has completed a season-long loan move from Norwich FC. Bear in mind what Will still said about the loan market and the fact that, you know, a goalkeeper wasn't on that list, but it may be because this was already sorted out. And I don't think that it is going to be for the reasons that fans want, right? It's not because he's going to replace Bazunu. It's because he is going to sit in the back. That is pretty much what Spurs said. Spurs said that George is a great guy. He will fit in seamlessly with our goalkeeping group. He's a player who brings tremendous experience and a level of professionalism that will be invaluable in setting standards throughout the squad. So we'll talk about this a little bit. The fan reaction to a player joining our club, admittedly, like Norwich fans piling on the fact that they're like, oh, thank God he's gone. And then just everyone seemingly losing their minds that we have got a third choice goalkeeper, which is something that's always been on the cards, and being mad that it's not. How would you like players to be announced? Because where I'm at is like, oh, should we save this announcement for like a week while for him being here until we've managed to put an attacking signing in to stop? No, that's not how this works. They've signed a player. He's joined. He's going to join the goalkeeping. He's going to be there as a backup if he's absolutely needed because, you know, Joe Lumley went. That's where I'm at. But I feel like it must be horrible to join a club and then just see everybody's reaction be like, oh, who cares? Oh, it's terrible. Who cares? Oh, it's terrible. Who cares? Like, guys, it's not that deep. I don't know what what your feelings are, Greg. But for me, I'm just like, this is literally just somebody to work with the current goalkeepers. And then if the worst comes to worst.
Look, my feelings are that I've not seen any of it because I stay away from the cesspit. So it's a good, solid third choice goalkeeper sign-in. Will still said in interviews that we need a goalkeeper, if nothing more than training numbers and for certain drills. And, experience is what we're after. Bringing a sensible head in. It just makes sense. It's logical.
I think it's just people's frustration, mate. And I get it because people are frustrated that there is less than a week to go now. And
we've got time. We've got plenty of time. As previously mentioned, right? Time isn't real. Time doesn't exist. Each day up until deadline day is one unit, and then deadline day is 15 of those units. That's how it works. It doesn't matter. Things are moving.
I think but I think what people's problem is, mate, is it feels like we have not planned properly if it has to move on last day. But we've discussed why it's not like that.
Yeah, that's just not how it works.
But the perception,
these things take time.
The perception is we aren't doing anything. The reality is probably very different. But unfortunately,
life is not as simple as the instant gratification that we are more and more trained to receive. Unfortunately, it's not how life works. It's just...
So that's a deep for a Thursday afternoon, mate. But there we are. I agree with you. Anywho, another incoming, which came under the radar. We discussed it a little bit more in depth already. Mads Roerslev, Brentford is where he used to play. He's joined us on a 4-year deal. So it's a permanent transfer. So I feel like if Sugawara comes back, you've already kind of got that right back position sorted. Although Premier League might change things. Yeah. He's already made a sub appearance for us. Did all right. Made a full debut yesterday, playing for Norwich, or 2 days ago, if you're listening. And did all right. Solid game.
Yeah.
All the right places, attacked properly.
Technically got an assist, although I don't know if passing the ball to a man who can run 20 yards and then bang it in the goal from 35 counts as an assist. But on the stats, it does.
That's how assists work, mate. Regardless of the fact the amount of goalkeepers of assists, is kind of... Yeah. Makes you feel like if he hadn't passed it to him at that point, he might have gone somewhere else. So either way, so far so good. I know there's been, again, a lot of noise when he first joined sort of Brentford being like, oh, he's a solid guy, and then other people being like, oh, he's not that great. And then we'll see how it turns out on the football pitch, won't we?
Yeah,
so far
looks
so
like
good.
A shrewd signing. I'm pleased with it.
Nobody knew about it. It was very funny. Came out of the complete woodwork. Again, this is why I feel like all of that is that they had him targeted for a long time and waited, and then obviously the Sugawara thing took place. I reckon at that point they pulled the trigger and he was happy to join. And here we are with 2 incomings on top of the incomings we've already had this year. So what's that, 4 incomings with Downs and Quashie and 25,000 outgoings? I think it's actually 9, but...
we said we needed to trim the squad. This is not news, right? This is good.
Correct. Right, so now to the rumoured incomings, the exciting part of the podcast, right? Or the bit everyone's excited for. So there was talk about Josh Brownhill, right? So apparently we've expressed an interest in signing Josh Brownhill, but he's considering a huge offer from Al Shabab, who are considering paying upwards of 100k per week.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, where I'm at, I was paying 100,000 per week. That's not going to be us.
No. Look, I like to think of myself as quite a nice, morally centred person, but I think there are not many things you could not get me to do for £100,000 a week, Yeah.
For some people it works out. Some people it doesn't, right? Jordan Henderson, example of how it doesn't. Again, me and Greg reminded that he now plays for Brentford after talking about it many times and then forgetting about it and then once again seeing him in the lineup the other day. However, Josh Brownhill has also had offers supposedly from Leicester, Ipswich and 2 other Premier League teams. So we'll see how that one works out, but I'm not too confident. I think it'll be a good sign-in. However, it doesn't seem real, right? Yeah. And again, if he turns down that, I feel like most players would then go, okay, well, what's going on in the Premier League? Yeah. So, something a bit more exciting. Finn Azaz. We've already had a bid turned down for him. I think it was something like 10.5 million. There's rumours between 10 to 10.5. And according to Scott Wilson of the Northern Echo, Southampton are understood to be putting together an improved offer for Finn Azaz after their initial bid was rejected. So this looks like it will probably sort of heat up this week. I think he scored the other day. Been a very, very solid championship sort of player. I think that would be really, really good for us. We'll just have to see if we can get it over the line because it seems like one of the more realistic things, right?
Yep.
Cool. And then we've got Jason Raksaki, who we've had a £10 million bid rejected for Crystal Palace winger, who is 22, and we are likely to return with another offer that is called to Graham Bailey. Again, this kind of fits our model of sort of younger, fast, quick players, right?
Yep. And wingers. We need wingers. So
yeah. Like, especially, it might just be that we are not putting in improved bids until we have wingers out the door. So it might be that there's some waiting for Dozie's transfer to get over the line. Some of the other transfers are now over the line. Dibbling's is over the line, and that's what that money will be reinvested. At least we're hoping. That's one of the other rumored incomings, and the only other rumored incoming to talk about is Leo Cienza, who the future of the Heidenheim winger Leo Cienza is one to watch before deadline day, and Southampton continue to monitor the player, who will command a mid-double-digit fee, according to Virgin PJ, who is a reporter for Sky. So, yeah, that's one. He's been scoring goals, and he looks like he's been on our radar for a while. But again, I don't know how much I trust. I think that a lot of us have been burned. A lot of us that are chronically online, Greg, not necessarily you, have been sort of burned by the Spursian saga, right? Like, this has just been an ongoing thing for so long. And I think, if anything, it highlights the complications of any transfer with like a player in the Russian league, right? Just it seems to be there's a lot of, and again, like we were still saying, people have agendas and this, that, and the other, and it's probably that we go in with an offer, probably was accepted, probably has then messed about a little bit, and maybe it's just a bargaining tactic for elsewhere. Wouldn't be surprised if we've abandoned interest. This one, however, seems to just sort of be quietly in the background, and maybe we'll hear more. But as we've already seen with the two incomings we've had in the last couple of weeks, we weren't really linked with them, and out of nowhere, they joined. And that's what we've got to hope for in the coming days.
Lots of
there is a plan.
There's always a plan, and there's going to be lots to talk about. There's going to be lots more rumours, I'm sure. There's going to be lots more solid pieces of news. It all ramps up now that the deadline is as close as it is. And we get to the exciting bit where things actually start to happen. Like, we made, 3 deadline day signings last summer when we weren't actually expecting any, as far as I can recall. So things can happen. Things are going to happen. It's going to be fun. It's going to be another fun late night recording, mate. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. So it is one of those things where, like, it's frustrating and people are getting annoyed. And I think a lot of us would have preferred business to be done earlier, because you don't really want a bunch of players gelling for the Pompey game. But unfortunately, we can't do our entire business based around the fact that we've got a derby coming up soon, right? And I know that there are a lot of Saints fans out there that would rather win both derby games and stay in the Championship than, achieve the objectives of a corporate entity. And I get that too. But ultimately, we're just going to have to wait and see. We thank you for joining us, though. And thank you once again to, I think, Just Saints Extra. We've also me and Greg go through similar lists and see similar things, but those guys are always very, very reliable. That's pretty much it for transfer rumours. For all we know, by the time that this is out, we can have another incoming player. That's how quickly things are moving. So if we've missed somebody off this list and you're like, where are they? It's that we don't know, because we're currently recording this at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. So thank you so much for listening. As always, we will be back tomorrow with a match preview for this weekend. We are on all of the social media. We're on Facebook. We are on X, the Everything app, Blue Sky. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. Ooh. We are on YouTube. We have a GSPN Southampton YouTube account if you fancy seeing us in person. I'm also going to look to, at some point, put some playlists together of sort of our wild cards and our player profiles and our staff profiles. And if I've said this on the podcast now, it holds me accountable and I actually have to do it. So Greg, if you look surprised by that, this is because you're finding out now too. So once again, thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and we will be with you in the next one.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Also, thank you to Greg.